Well. Guess who's back, everybody? It's Sports Talk on Elm Street is back for year number 4, technically. Yeah, say hi, guys.
Hey, what's going on?
Top shelf camera.
Yeah, so that's our top shelf camera. But yeah, Sports Talk on Elm Street, your favorite sports podcast, is back for year number 4, which is crazy that I just said that out loud. I can't even believe that. I'm Joe Elms. He is Quinn Richards, my lovely co-host.
We're seniors now.
We're seniors.
Wow.
And we have a very special guest today, as I made it a point to do this for our first episode of the new year. We have a very special guest over there in chair number 3 today. And our guest, he needs, he needs no introduction, but I'm going to try to give him one anyway.
I love that you use that line every time.
I know that's my line. That's my line that I do for
you should
all
copyright that, honestly.
Yeah, that's my line for all of our guests. Anyway, so I'll try to give him a worthy introduction here before we get started, but like us, at the class of 2026, a senior as well, just turned 22 years old yesterday. Happy belated birthday, by the way.
Thank you. It's getting ridiculous. It's out of hand.
Most notably, one half of the Hoosier Network's, HN, hi, the Hoosier Network's college football show, along with Ryan Canfield, who we have had on this show. So now we've completed the
we have Ryan on twice, or is it just once?
I think twice for
we had him twice.
Mock draft both times,
Yeah,
sophomore
right.
sophomore and junior year. So we've completed the duo, shall we say. The women's basketball reporter for IUS TV Sports, writer for Notre Dame for It's Off the Tracks, and formerly of IDS News. Hopefully that was a good introduction, but you all know who I'm talking about at this point. It is the man, the myth, the legend himself, Mr. Jhett Garrett. Jhett, thank you so much for coming on the show, man.
What an intro. I think you killed it. Thank you guys for having me on. Jam-packed episode, first episode of the year. I'm honored to be here. Year 4. Congratulations. Congratulations.
Thank you.
It doesn't feel real.
It really doesn't. It really doesn't. I mean, it's crazy, and I wanted to. It's kind of a thing that I kind of wanted to have. We want to have a guest on for the first episode of the year because we're coming back and we want to come back in a big way. You know what I mean?
Sure.
But speaking of things that are coming back, and I guess technically speaking have already come back.
Yeah.
Putting it in technical terms. College football is back, and football season is upon us. It's late August, about to flip to September in the coming days, and you know what that means. It's football season, the best time of the year, I will argue. And college football is officially back. The 2025 season has gotten underway. Technically, week 1 it actually has started, and it's going to get into the thick of things tomorrow on Saturday. But let's dive in. Let's dive in, shall we? So I will start with I'm going to get y'all's take first. I want to start with kind of a softball.
Oh, a softball.
Almost. Quinn, you are our resident Ohio State fan.
Oh,
Jhett,
yeah.
you are our resident Notre Dame fan. As we all recall,
some big games
know,
from both of those sides this weekend.
Yeah. Both of those teams faced each other in the national championship game last year. Ohio State coming out on top. Quinn, as I know you enjoyed. I will. Yeah, that was great.
Nice night.
I will go to Jhett first because he is our guest. My kind of, I feel like maybe softball-ish kind of question for you is this was just stuck in my mind as I kind of prepared a little bit for this episode. Jhett, I want to get your thoughts on Notre Dame in their current situation, coming off that national championship appearance, losing to Ohio State. My question for you is the position they're in now. How do they build off of that? What are your thoughts on how they build off of the success they had last year?
I think a lot of that just happens naturally, but it's also very easy, for a coach like Marcus, for a head coach in general, not just Marcus Freeman, to have a little bit of that success and kind of just live off of that instead of trying to improve and go further, go to the next level. They're wearing. I've actually seen the acronym SAS on some Notre Dame shirts.
Oh,
Still
yeah.
ain't, So I'm liking this mentality. It feels different. Notre Dame football has felt different the last couple of years under Marcus Freeman than it did against Brian Kelly. So I'm excited. I'm really excited. And I'm not expecting a national championship this season. I think C.J. Carr coming in, first-year starter. There's going to be some growing pains. There's going to be some issues and mistakes. We will probably lose a game at some point because of quarterback mistakes, and that's fine. It sucks now, but in the grand scheme of things, you got to make them. And he's only getting, it's year one as a starter, so I think they're going in the right direction. This is the first time I felt that way about Notre Dame in a while, where I really can actually see them winning a championship, and I think they'll do that under Freeman.
I want to jump ahead as kind of like a segue. We're kind of getting ahead of ourselves because we haven't talked about the games yet. Yeah. But this Sunday, obviously the first big test for Notre Dame. Right. You go and you're playing Miami. It's at Hard Rock Stadium, I believe, right?
Yep. Hard Rock Stadium.
And so you talk about a loss could come because of quarterback issues and those growing pains. Do you think that loss is going to come opening weekend against a tough top 10 team like Miami?
I think it could, and especially if Miami starts getting to him a little early, and he's starting to get rattled and starting to be shaky, then absolutely it could go south. But and not to get into too much of a game preview, but the last time they went down and played Miami in Hard Rock, it was 2017, and it was an absolute mauling. It was a beatdown, and I really hope the players kind of watch that game back, and when they watch that game, they feel like they were on that team, and I hope they go down there and compete, and obviously want them to come out with a win, but it definitely could. To get back to your question, this weekend definitely could be where you see something like that happen, where C.J. Carr throws an interception, or he is just not reading the field very well. Miami's got a really tough defense, so it could happen. But I mean, there's like 5 other games this season where it's kind of you got to figure it out.
I think fortunately for Notre Dame, just looking at the schedule now, it's like even if you lose that Miami game, based off the schedule they have this year, at least based off of what we think these teams are going to be, you can kind of afford that and still get into the college football playoffs. It's not necessarily like this one loss is going to end your season. I guess that's just the kind of landscape we live in now in college football. But,
right.
I mean, you look at the other ranked teams, it's Boise State, who just got absolutely mauled by Southern Florida.
Yeah.
And then you have Texas A&M, another ranked team. You have, obviously, the Navy, the USC, but it's not really like any of these teams are necessarily that level that we think Miami is going to be right now. So I think Notre Dame's going to be in a pretty good spot.
I do, too.
For you.
I do, too. And it's kind of like you said, their first 6 weeks of the season, which obviously Boise State, I mean, the way they looked last night, you're still concerned about it because it's, a talented team, you think. But, after those first 6 games, it really lightens up for them a little bit. Getting that USC game at home is very important as well.
I think kind of the flip side to that the scheduling thing is that if Notre Dame can kind of come out here and, should I say something crazy? If they could start something like 6-0,
sure,
or even 5-1, something like that, if they can come out and really make a statement with these opening few games in this schedule, that's going to do wonders for a college football playoff resume. But I think, Quinn, as you kind of alluded to, we're getting ahead of ourselves a little bit. Let's kind of I want to kind of back up a little bit. I want to get to Jett, we got your thoughts on Notre Dame. I want to get Quinn to Ohio State here in a second, but I want to take a look here. We've talked so much about Week 1, and let's say we take a look at Week 1, and it is the beginning, technically speaking, of the college football season. I'll start. You know what? Let's do this real quick. Let's start, I think, in the top 25, and then maybe we can branch out into the rest of the college football world because, I mean, even tonight, right, there are several really solid games on. We'll get to those in a second, but first, let's start in the top 25, and, would you look at that? I think what better place to start than with the Indiana Hoosiers, perhaps? I know there's playing. Sorry, I just lost my train of thought. Playing Old Dominion to open up the 2025 season, coming off that phenomenal year, first year under head coach Curt Cignetti, made it to the college football playoff, lost to Notre Dame. And so now they're looking to build on that success, kind of like we were talking about with Notre Dame, Indiana. I mean, no one expected 11-1, and that's what happened. But in the Hoosiers' kind of second season under Curt Cignetti, about to get started against Old Dominion. I mean, Old Dominion is a solid team, but knowing what we know about the Curt Cignetti Hoosiers, I don't think this should be pretty straightforward. Is the word I've heard a lot these past few days as this game has kind of gotten closer.
I think Old Dominion is better than people think. I was looking at the line. I was surprised it was 24.5 points. At least that's what it's at right now. I think it's a little too much. Old Dominion was the 14th best rushing offense last season. They rushed for over 200 yards a game. It's a solid team. It's a solid program. They almost beat South Carolina to open the season on the road last year. It was tied entering the fourth quarter. Old Dominion's beaten Virginia Tech in the past. These are all things that Curt Cignetti is very aware of. He mentioned them in his pregame press conferences leading up to this game on Saturday. I think that I wouldn't be surprised if you're entering the second half and Old Dominion is within 2 touchdowns. I don't know if it would be that shocking if Old Dominion's within one touchdown. It could be 21-14 entering the half. Do I think Indiana pulls away? Sure, I do. I certainly do. Third quarter, fourth quarter, I think it's going to kind of get out of hand, but I don't think 24.5 is that realistic for this game, especially when you talk about a team like Indiana who's, last outing was getting beat down by Notre Dame, right? These are guys who haven't gotten real game reps in a long time. That goes for both sides. Expect sloppy football. You have a new quarterback coming in, transfer Fernando Mendoza from Cal. There's going to be some mishaps, right? And I would not be shocked if those make that final score a little bit closer than it was in some of those non-conference games last season for Indiana.
Yeah.
I think this team's better than last year's. I think as a roster.
Wow.
And I can't imagine they win 11 regular season games. The schedule's a little bit tougher this season. But if I'm looking at this roster last year at this time, or if I'm looking at last year's roster at this time last year, and I'm looking at this year's roster now, I would 100% have told you that this roster is better. I think they're going to overpower a lot of people, and I think they've got the second best receiver in Elijah Surratt out wide. They've got Fernando Mendoza, who I was really high on last season. He shined as well. He had a 64.7 completion rate in the final 6 games of the season. He was correcting issues that had been a problem early on. So I like this team a lot, and I think I would take him to cover.
Yeah,
I would take him to cover.
Take him on that?
I would.
Yeah.
I would.
Yeah. Indiana, Quentin, like you said, the spread is 24.5. That's an ODU team that's not exactly your average kind of mid-major program, shall we say?
Let's just say this. I think, the other 2 non-conference games, Indiana State, Kennesaw State, I think Old Dominion mauls those 2 teams. Yeah. I think it's not even close. So if you're an Indiana fan and you're looking at this game, zero in on this, because this is the best competition you get to see your team play against until that the conference opener at home against Illinois, week 4. So you're going to see a lot, I think, from this Indiana team. Maybe it's not going to be that close game I'm hyping it up to be in the first half, but we'll just have to wait and see on Saturday at 2:30, which is an interesting time for a kickoff. Yeah, I'm not mad about it covering the game. I get to watch a little bit of Ohio State, Texas, but it's an interesting one.
Speaking of Ohio State and Texas, that was good. That was a good segue. That was a good kind of tag team almost. Yeah, so let's take a look at this game. This is, I don't really think maybe a bit of an argument could be made for something like, Notre Dame, Miami, or LSU, Clemson. But I think this is pretty sure shot the biggest game of this weekend. You got number 1 Texas, led by Arch Manning, finally in the saddle, having kind of finally been given the reins to this Texas offense, to this Longhorns team, finally getting to show what he really has for a full season. We got it in kind of glimpses last year, but this is for real. This is the Arch Manning show, taking on the defending national champion Ohio State Buckeyes, who have a brand new starting quarterback in Julian Sayin, but retain a player who was quite possibly the best wide receiver in college football last year in Jeremiah Smith, who is a sophomore. Yes, that's still
sophomore.
True sophomore. That's still insane. Not redshirt. True sophomore. Has only played 1 season of college football. Quinn, I'm obviously going to go to you first here because you are our resident Ohio State fan. So what are your feelings going into this game, and what is is there an X factor that jumps out to you? And I think I know what you're going to say here. I want to see if I'm right.
Yeah, I mean, there's two X factors that jump out for me. And I'm going to look at this team, and there's a lot of questions, been a lot of roster turnover for both of these sides, both Texas and Ohio State.
Yeah.
Ton of draft picks. If you just watch the draft, I mean, it was Texas and Ohio State left and right. When you zoom out and you look at this Ohio State roster, there are two gleaming things that should stand out to you. And that's that they have the best player in college football on offense and the best player in college football on defense. I don't know if you guys are going to disagree with that, but I think there's not just an argument, there's a very good argument that that's the case.
Yeah.
You have Caleb Downs on defense, who is a safety who can play basically anywhere on the field, who makes plays left and right, who can literally be anywhere. And I mean, I'm starting to think Ohio State this season might do the old Steelers trick with Troy Polamalu and just say, we're going to play a 10-man defense and you can run wherever you want. Because that's what Caleb Downs can do. That's how good he is. On offense, you have Jeremiah Smith, the best receiver in college football. I mean, everyone's talking about Jeremiah Smith. Those two players alone can win you football games. I fully believe that.
Jeremiah Smith was on the cover of College Football 26 for a reason.
As he should be.
After the year he just had.
The key for Ohio State is putting those guys in positions to make plays. Now, that's more difficult for a guy like Caleb Downs because obviously you can't choose where the other team throws the ball. But for Jeremiah Smith, you got to get the ball in his hands. And when you're talking about Ohio State with a redshirt freshman?
I believe redshirt freshman, I want to say.
Quarterback Julian Sayin came to Ohio State after decommitting from Alabama when Saban left. The key is going to be getting the ball into Jeremiah Smith, Carnell Tate, James Peoples, there's going to be the starting running back. Get the ball into their hands in space. Do not make Julian Sayin have to make these throws down the field to win you this game. You need to get to your star players, your proven players, and if Ohio State can do that, I think this Ohio State offense is too good and will beat Texas and Arch Manning, who come into a hostile environment.
I've been going back and forth on this game, like for the last 2 or 3 months. Just you can't stop thinking about it. I can't.
Yeah.
I mean, it's kind of crazy. This game tomorrow will be played after
It doesn't feel
months
like it.
of anticipation. Yeah. You had it quite right. So much roster turnover for both of these teams. New starting quarterbacks, new running backs, new receivers. I think I trust Texas's turnover a little bit more, though. I think it's different because you're bringing in Arch Manning. We know what you're going to get out of Arch Manning. I think he's going to be a really, really good player. Julian Sayin, I still think I think he's going to be really good, but I think Arch Manning is a definite home run, best quarterback in the nation type of player.
Wow.
Really, really good receivers as well. Ryan Wingo, DeAndre Moore. They brought in Emmett Mosley over from Stanford. So I like that receiving core. Obviously, Ohio State's has Jeremiah Smith, so kind of the conversation ends there. I like this defense more, too. I like Texas's defense more. Colin Simmons and Anthony Hill are two of the best defenders in college football. And my thing with Ohio State is they lost all 4 starters on the front on the defensive line. I think that's going to hurt them a lot. I think that's going to hurt them a lot more than anything. They also lost both their running backs, so I've been going back and forth. The only thing that is keeping me from saying Texas is absolutely winning this football game is that it's at Ohio Stadium. I am still going to pick Texas, but I just can't wait to watch this game. I can't.
It's going to be fun for sure. I think there is a path for Texas, a very good path for Texas, and I think that's not taking the ball out of Arch Manning's hands, but not forcing him to win you the game, right?
Sure.
You talk about the replacement on the Ohio State front 4. Let your offensive line get physical. If you can out-physical the front 4 of Ohio State, you're going to win the game if you're Texas. And that means running the ball early. That means pushing the ball down Ohio State's throat. If you can do that, don't make Arch Manning make throws to win you this football game if you're just going to be able to run the ball down Ohio State down after down. I think that's the key for Texas, is that Texas has a very real chance to be the more physical team. I also think from Texas, from a defensive standpoint, I kind of get weird vibes and flashbacks to 2 years ago, C.J. Stroud's it might have been 3 years. I think it was 2 years ago. C.J. Stroud's very first game, would have been 3 years ago, actually, his freshman year.
Yeah.
When Oregon came to visit at Ohio State, and Oregon ended up walking away with a win. It was another noon game. I'm getting a lot of flashbacks to that because what Oregon did is make C.J. Stroud uncomfortable, make him make those throws, and I think there's a very real chance Texas is able to do that against Julian Sayin. Yep. And again, that's another path for Texas to win this game. So it's going to be close. I was just looking at ESPN. The matchup predictor that they have on their website gives Texas the edge. The odds actually give Ohio State a 1.5 spread right now.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
So, I mean, it's very split.
Yeah.
Even just Vegas versus the ESPN analytics are split themselves.
Yeah,
So.
that's not really surprising. At least to me, it's not. I don't know. I mean, oh man, let's start with this. I agree, a very big agree with the points that you both have made. I will say I think I am very, very, very narrowly going to pick Ohio State in this game because of, I think you alluded to this, the home field advantage that Ohio Stadium in Columbus has, and that's got to be a top 5 toughest environment to play in college. But there's really no question, I don't think. And I think just Ohio State, both of these teams made the college football playoff last year. Ohio State they got that experience. They've got that they're coming off the national championship. They're on top of the proverbial football mountain. I know they did lose a lot, but so did Texas. You could say that for both of these teams. They lost a lot to the NFL. And I think it's going to hinge on, we've kind of seen glimpses of Arch Manning, and I am totally in agreement. I think that guy is going to he's just got whatever it is. We always talk about it. He's got it. And now we kind of see, does Julian Sayin have it? I think that's going to be in line with what y'all have said. It's going to be one of the big questions for this game. But I think I am narrowly, very, very narrowly going to take Ohio State. I think they start the year 1-0. So we have, just so I'm recapping this correctly, we have Texas, Ohio State, Ohio State.
Correct.
Okay.
Yep, correct.
Yep.
Okay, awesome. So Ohio State is the favorite 2-1 here at the Sports Talk on Elm Street desk. Let's keep going here because it's already 5:30. Let's keep going. Syracuse and Tennessee. Tennessee's number 24th in the country. They have a lot of roster turnover, which might be the understatement of the year. Their starting quarterback, Nico. I am not gonna get this right. Yamalieva? No, that wasn't right.
Close.
He's gone. You all know who I'm talking about. He's gone. He's now at UCLA, and they've got a lot of turnover taking on a Syracuse team that is, I think, equally lost a lot. Their starting quarterback, too, Kyle McCord, is now gone. Was picked by the Philadelphia Eagles, although I don't believe he's on the roster anymore. Anywho, that's besides the point. Jett, I'll go to you first. Any thoughts on this game?
I do think Tennessee is going to win. I'm not extremely high on Tennessee this season. They'll probably win 8 games. The Nico stuff really, I've said this before. They completely. I love what Josh Heupel did and kind of just saying, "Hey, kick rocks, dude. We're not paying you more money."
I'm with you on that. It's like if you don't want to. Yeah,
sure. But
if you don't be here.
You have to set a precedent, and that's what they did.
Yeah.
But that has consequences, and I think you're going to see that with Joey Aguilar. I'm not a big Joey Aguilar guy. I think this game's going to be closer than a lot of people think. I've heard people say Tennessee is going to win this game by. Just huge.
That's what I was thinking. I feel like I don't think Syracuse isn't a pushover, and I feel like this game is going to be a little closer than people think. But anyway, you were saying.
The Syracuse, they lost a lot on defense. They lost their quarterback, like you mentioned. They bring in Steve Angeli from Notre Dame. I really like Yasin Willis, their running back. He's a true sophomore. Definitely, I want to see him kind of become more of a receiver as well out of the backfield, but he has such a nice burst, and I'm a huge fan of him. The receiving room's not that bad. I just think that defense is going to lose him a lot of games, and Tennessee, even though they have their own losses, Dylan Sampson, Nico Iamaleava, I don't even think I whatever. But yeah, I think Tennessee will win this game.
Yeah, Quinn.
Yeah, I feel like Kyle McCord did a lot of the heavy lifting.
Oh yeah, crazy sentence to say, to be honest.
It was fun to see last year. I loved seeing Kyle McCord when it wasn't my team that Kyle McCord was leading. It's so fun to watch him because Syracuse basically just said, Kyle, throw the ball wherever you want, how many times you want.
Okay.
And for the most part, it worked last year for Syracuse. There were games like that Pittsburgh game, and he threw, I think it was either 5 interceptions and 3 pick sixes or 6 interceptions and 3 picks, something crazy. But like you look at the defense and some of the numbers that they allowed, they were allowing 20-plus points, 30-plus points. I mean, multiple times that season. They allowed 41 to UNLV, 31 to Virginia Tech, 41 to Pitt in that blowout. I mean, most of those were Kyle McCord giving the other team touchdowns. But still, I just think that losing Kyle McCord, you mentioned the players lost on defense. Tennessee brings in more talent than Syracuse does. I think Syracuse is a program that kind of is getting back on the map, is starting to grow, is starting to find some more footing. But Tennessee's still just the better team, and I have Tennessee winning this, and I don't think it's going to be too close. I'd say at least 2 touchdowns.
Okay, yeah. I think I'm kind of in agreement with both of you. I think Tennessee's going to win. I think Syracuse will kind of keep this game close. I think they're going to fight, but I mean that defense just does not exactly instill a ton of confidence. And I mean, even on the Tennessee side, you're kind of wondering what Joey Aguilar is really kind of made of. I mean, threw for just over 3,000 yards, 23 touchdowns, but also 14 interceptions and a QBR that was good for 50th in the country. Coming over from Appalachian State. You kind of what?
Said shout out App State.
Yeah, shout out App State. Crazy that App State gets a mention here at Sports Talk on Elm Street. Anyway, one of the big questions I think for Tennessee is just kind of see what he's got, what he's really made of, and that's I think that will go a long way towards deciding kind of how the season ends. I'm looking at the schedule for Tennessee. I mean, it's not. You got number 5, you got Georgia in week 3. That's going to be fun. But I'm in agreement. Tennessee, I think, should win this game, although I think Syracuse keeps it close. Kind of going down the list here. Penn State, Nevada. Penn State should cruise there, number 2 in the country for a reason. Same for number 5, Georgia taking on Marshall. Okay, here's one. Alabama on the road against Florida State. Now, Florida State is coming off probably one of the worst seasons in their program's history. I don't think it's an exaggeration to say that. They were the meme. They were, I think, the meme of the 2024 college football season. They're kind of looking to get back. I think when he said kind of get back on the map, kind of get back to what they're used to being, the winning culture that they previously had, and obviously did not show last year. And Alabama, it's interesting too. They disappointed, I think. They disappointed in year 1 under Kalen DeBoer after Nick Saban's retirement. They're looking to kind of right the ship a little bit in year number 2. So, Quinn, you first this time. Thoughts on this game and Alabama starting Ty Simpson at QB, and is this going to be? It's going to be tough for Alabama going on the road against Florida State.
I don't think it's going to be too tough for Alabama. Florida State, you bring in Tommy Castellanos at quarterback.
But I'm pretty sure beat them last year, right?
I think it's more of a gauge Castellanos.
Yeah, for Boston College.
Yeah.
Am I right on that?
Against Florida State?
Yeah.
Yeah. I thought you were thinking Alabama. I was like, no.
He was with Boston College at the time.
Yes, beating Florida State. I don't know. This seems more like, to me, is a gauge on where Florida State's going to fall this season. I don't think it's really going to be too much of a test for Alabama. But look, if Florida State can put some points on the board and maybe get a few stops, then this is a team that is not going to lose their first however many games of the season. And I don't know. I think college football is better when Florida State is good and is talented. I always have thought that program is a fun program to watch, especially when they are good, hearkening back to the Jameis Winston days.
Yeah.
There's going to be a lot of guys. There's a true freshman, Javen Boggs, starting at wide receiver for Florida State. We'll see. We'll see how Florida State can handle it. But again, if you're asking me if I think this is going to be a close game, no, I don't. I think Alabama's going to be fine. I don't know. I trust Kalen DeBoer, so we'll see.
I guess there's a reason that that Alabama is ranked in the top 10 and Florida State is unranked. But Jett, thoughts?
Yeah, I'm with you, Quinn. And I do think that this Florida State team, they're going to be, I mean, this kind of goes without saying, but they're going to be better than they were last year. There's more talent on this roster. And I mean, Mike Norvell better kind of hope that this is a better team than it was a season ago because, college football has become such a what have you done for me lately sport. And I understand what Norvell and the Florida State Seminoles did with Jordan Travis, but I mean, outside of that, it's been pretty low. And then you win 2 football games. That's grounds enough to get fired on its own.
Yeah.
You know, I think for Florida State, you got to get back to a bowl game this season. If you go 6-6, if you win 7 football games, I think you're feeling fine. I think there's a lot of talent on that roster. But I think there's a lot more talent on Alabama's roster. The more I look at this team, the more that I really like them. And so I'm going to pick Alabama in this game by probably 2 to 3 touchdowns.
Okay, yeah. I think that the short version is for me that Alabama will win this game. It's kind of just, I mean, for Florida State, you have to find some way, any way, to rebound from the complete disaster that was last season. And taking a look at their schedule here, they got Alabama at home against number 10 Miami, at home against Pitt, at Stanford, on the road against Clemson late in the year, and then wrapping it all up on the road at Florida. But, I mean, this week, this game in particular, I don't know. I just have a lot. I have some doubts. I have I'm struggling to kind of believe in Florida State. Maybe it's just I can't get the taste of last season out of my mouth or something for them. But Alabama, I think I think Alabama is angry with how last year went, how disappointing it was, the expectations they had on them, a brand new head coach. Last year, a final season of Jalen Milroe, who was getting a ton of hype going into last year. Clearly, things did not work out. I think they're angry. I think they kind of take it out on Florida State. And I think Alabama, I'm kind of in agreement with you guys. Alabama should have little to no problems in this one. So let's keep moving right along here. Oregon, Montana State. Oregon should win big. Same for Oklahoma and Illinois State. Oklahoma having John Mateer as their starting quarterback this year. Florida playing Long Island University. Shout out Long Island University. Kansas State, number 17. Who Kansas State, by the way, as we, I think, all saw, coming off that loss to Iowa State in Ireland, the opening game of Week 0.
It was a messy game.
Yeah, a very messy, very sloppy, kind of not fun. I turned that on when it started, and I watched the first quarter or so, and I'm like, this is gross.
That's football, baby.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
That's welcome back to college football, everyone. Yeah, and Kansas State looking to bounce back from that. They should. I don't think they should have much of a problem with North Dakota. Shout out Quinn.
Wearing a North Dakota State hat, right?
Yeah,
Nice.
earning in the SU hat. Yeah, for all of you to see. Texas A&M should beat UTSA. That game is on ESPN. But the next big, huge game that jumps out to me, number 9 LSU, number 4 Clemson. I'm excited to get to this one. So LSU and Clemson, so this is interesting. So both of these programs are kind of returning two quarterbacks who were a couple of the best in the nation in Garrett Nussmeier for LSU and Cade Klubnik for Clemson, both of whom should be in Heisman consideration throughout the season. So, Jett, I'm going to go to you first this time. What are you looking for in this game, and who comes out on top?
I'm looking for, a lot of things. First of all, I'm looking at that Clemson wide receiver room. I think it's the best in college football. I don't know if anyone can put a better wide receiver room in front of me right now. TJ Moore, Bryant Wesco, Antonio Williams. Those are all first-round draft picks. Antonio Williams will probably go in the first round this year.
Yeah.
If TJ Moore and Bryant Wesco could come out this year, I think they would go first round as well. Cade Klubnik really came along in those final 2 games of the season against SMU and then against Texas. He had 7 touchdowns to 1 interception in those 2 games. He was really it was kind of the first time you've gotten to see a comfortable, confident Cade Klubnik in his time at Clemson. He's never been able to get over that hump. I think he has. I think this defense might also be the best defense in college football. They return literally everyone. And now LSU, don't get me wrong, there's a lot of talent on that side as well. However, I'm a big believer in energy in sports and like trend. So, for example, here, LSU, they've lost 5 or 6 straight opening games. I believe that's a thing. Like, I believe that's
There's an issue there, yeah.
Yeah, and you also have Brian Kelly there. You know how he does against top 5 opponents / any big games in general.
You know that all too well.
I know. And they're going on the road. Maybe I'm wrong here because I still think LSU is a very, very good team. I just think these two teams are in two different tiers. I think Clemson's a national champion contender. I think LSU could get there. I have to see it from Brian Kelly. I have to see it. If they go on the road here and they pick up this kind of win, then LSU, they instantly jump up the board as like a top 3 team in the country. But I am picking Clemson.
Yeah, I'm going to also take Clemson to be short here, but I think there's a path for LSU, but it almost has to be one of those like underdog, like you played the perfect game. I'm thinking like weird reference, but like Georgia Tech, Georgia last year, where it felt like Georgia Tech controlled the game. Georgia Tech should have won that game.
I still feel like they won that game.
In my mind, Georgia Tech won that game. That's going to be the key for LSU. I think you have to rely heavily on Caden Durham in the run game. I feel like if you just rely too much on Nussmeier, I don't know if he's good enough to go on I know he's not good enough to go dual head-to-head, toe-to-toe with Cade Klubnik. I like this Clemson offense more. I think if you're LSU, you have to control time of possession. You have to keep Clemson's offense off the field. And I just don't think LSU is good enough to do that for a full football game. So I have Clemson winning this one too. Especially, it's at Clemson, so I think Clemson's going to take it.
I think Quinn, you were spot on with that. The kind of like just exactly what I was thinking. This Clemson offense, man, they've got the potential to be, I think, the best in college football, no questions asked. LSU is, they're a very, very good team. They've got a very, very good quarterback who I got to watch a lot of last year, Garrett Nussmeier. I just thought he got better and better as the season went on, culminating in a really, really solid performance in their bowl game against Baylor. I think it was the Texas Bowl, I want to say it was called. Yeah. But Garrett Nussmeier and Cade Klubnik, both of these guys should be in Heisman consideration. Everyone... We all know this. We all know this. I think it's going to be, Quinn, like you said, it's going to be key for LSU if they want to even have a chance to win this game, and not even taking into consideration yet the fact that they are going on the road. I think I first saw this game on the schedule and I assumed it was like a neutral site game because that's sometimes kind of what happens in week 1. But no, it's at Clemson. It's at Memorial Stadium. How many Memorial Stadiums do we have?
A lot.
In college football, a ton.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's besides the point. In Clemson, and we were talking about top 5 toughest places to play. That makes the list too, by the way. And we all know how incredibly difficult it is to get a win in that stadium coming in on the road, and it's going to be key for LSU. You got to keep that Clemson offense, which is capable of firing on all cylinders, going nuclear whenever they want. You got to keep that offense off the field. You got to get you have to have, I don't know if I want to go as far as to say a perfect game from Garrett Nussmeier, but you got to have a really, really dang good game from Garrett Nussmeier in this LSU offense if you want to have a chance to win this game. Jett, you alluded to this a second ago, and I think it was a really, really phenomenal description. Clemson right now is in a tier that's national championship contender. LSU, can they get there? Yes, absolutely. Are they there right now? Not quite. They're close to that, I think, but they're not quite there yet. I am going to, unfortunately for the people who love chaos, I'm not going to be different. I am going to pick Clemson with both of you. So, and you both are wearing orange, which I guess fits.
Noticed that.
Yeah.
I noticed that.
It was an interesting choice for us to both pull up in orange. It's not a common color to wear. So.
No. It's guys. I guess you guys just felt like spicing things up a little bit for the
knew we were
for the
picking
first
Clemson.
episode of the year. Yeah.
How did that happen?
Yeah. But I will stick with both of you. I'm not going to be different. Give me Clemson over LSU. I think it's close-ish, but Clemson pulls away in the end. So let's keep going here. Michigan taking on New Mexico. That's going to be a very interesting Michigan team to watch. I don't really know. I don't think they should have too much trouble with New Mexico. The spread is, 34.5. That's pretty crazy, even for a spread. But I'm going to probably be tuned into that one just to see how Bryce Underwood performs in his first game as a Michigan starter. Ole Miss should beat Georgia State. SMU should beat East Texas A&M. Sorry. Arizona State taking on Northern Arizona. That should be not much of a problem. I want to go to Sunday. Okay, so there are 2 games on Sunday, one of which we've kind of talked about sort of already, but I'm not going to go there yet. I want to take a look at number 13 South Carolina taking on Virginia Tech at Mercedes-Benz Stadium in Atlanta. That was the neutral site game I guess I was thinking of earlier or something. The spread is South Carolina 7.5. Quinn, I'm going to go to you first on this one. Do you have any thoughts on this game? Could there potentially be an upset brewing, or do you think South Carolina is just that good?
I like South Carolina in this one. I don't know. South Carolina, I think, got better as the year went on last year.
Agreed.
For sure. And I think this was a team that was, that Illinois game in the I don't know what bowl game it was, but they played Illinois in the bowl game, and that was a great game.
That was a great game.
Tensions
great
brewing
game.
and stuff.
Yeah.
I like South Carolina's one. I think they improved a lot. I think they brought in some good talent through the transfer portal. I don't know. I think if this was at Virginia Tech and you have that home field environment, the Enter Sandman and the likes, I have Virginia Tech at least might be a close one, like 50-50. But I just think that South Carolina is the better team. They've built on a lot of success over the past year. I think South Carolina is going to be fine and take away the win at the neutral site.
Yeah.
You brought up LSU Clemson being on a college campus. I don't know how you guys feel over here, but over at the HN College Football Show, we absolutely hate neutral site games.
They're terrible.
This is silly. This should be in Columbia, South Carolina, or it should be in Blacksburg, Virginia.
Yeah.
One of the two. This should not be a neutral site game. No matter where this game's played, though, I think South Carolina's going to give them. I think they're going to beat them pretty badly. I'm not necessarily all the way in on South Carolina. I don't think they're going to have as much success as they had last year. They lost a lot on that defense. I think it's kind of a year where you'd like to match this Lenora Sellers with last year's team that we're going to see this season.
Mm-hmm.
And Lenore Sellers, one of the best quarterbacks in college football this season. I'm not there with Virginia Tech. I tried getting there last season. Kyron Jones and company let me down, so I'm not gonna do that again. There is talent on that Virginia Tech roster, but I see the spread at 7.5. I think Razul Faison, who just I think got like approved for his final year of eligibility. Maybe not approved, but it was like a lawsuit. Something.
There's something in the news.
Something,
about that.
Yeah. So he comes over from Utah State. He was an 1,000-yard rusher last season. The South Carolina offense has some talent. I need to see that receiving room improve. People keep telling me about Nick Harbor. People keep telling me, "Oh, the South Carolina receiving room is better." I got to see it. But 7.5, I'll take that, and maybe a little bit more.
Yeah. When Lenora Sellers is on the field, he's the best player.
Yeah.
In this game at least,
Sure.
for sure, undoubtedly he's the best player on the field. So more often than not, the team with the best player on the field is going to come out with the win. So
Yeah,
I agree.
I think we all know how talented Lenora Sellers is, and I think we kind of have an idea of when this South Carolina team is clicking. We kind of can see a little bit kind of glimpses. I've been saying that word a lot today. We've seen how good they can truly be, but I think. Again, I'm going to be boring, and I'm going to side with both of you on this one. I think South Carolina – I almost said North Carolina. I think South Carolina is going to win this game. I think Virginia Tech will put up a fight. I think Virginia Tech is maybe a little bit better than people think. But I think Virginia Tech will put up a fight for maybe a half, maybe 3/4, but South Carolina ends up pulling away and showing why they are a top 15 team in the country to start off the season. And we will wrap up our week 1 preview really quickly. We've kind of already talked about this, but I don't think we picked this game yet. We will wrap up with number 6 Notre Dame and number 10 Miami. Again, a neutral site game. Actually, that reminds me of a question I had for you both. I'm going to ask after we preview this game. But in the meantime, Jett, as our resident Notre Dame fan, I'm going to go to you first. Who wins this game and why?
I really hate doing predictions, especially for Notre Dame. Really hate it. So superstitious.
Doesn't want to say a thing.
No, I don't.
You don't want to jinx it.
I don't.
You don't want to jinx it.
I'm so superstitious about this stuff, man. First of all, with Miami, I really like their running back room. Mark Fletcher, Jordan Lyle. I think Jordan Lyle's better than Fletcher, but that's neither here nor there. Carson Beck comes over from Georgia. Carson Beck's a good quarterback. I think there were moments last season where, since he was supposed to be the number 1 overall pick, he's a Heisman candidate, and he didn't necessarily live up to that. And so it kind of just translates to, Carson Beck's a bad quarterback. Carson Beck's not a bad quarterback.
No, he's not.
So you have to respect it. What this game is going to come down to is Notre Dame putting pressure on Carson Beck. Because if they do that, I don't think Carson Beck's a very good decision maker. I think he struggles with the deep ball. I think that he really relied heavily on Mike Bobo and that Georgia system. A lot of short passes, 5-yard passes, behind line of scrimmage passes. If Notre Dame is putting pressure on Carson Beck, I think they'll win this game by 2 touchdowns. If Notre Dame, that defensive line is struggling, I know Miami has talked a lot about their offensive line. They really like what they've got down there. Then that changes everything. But if they are able to put pressure on Carson Beck, if they're able to beat that offensive line, then I think Notre Dame will win this game.
Good. Quinn, thoughts?
I think Marcus Freeman's a better coach than Mario Cristobal. And I think in big-time games, coaches oftentimes make the difference. So I am, for that reason, mostly because of that reason, I would say, I think I'm going to take Notre Dame in this one because I think that Notre Dame has the ability to win this game through coaching. What I mean by that is I feel like the offensive line and Jeremiah Love can carry them to a win in this game. So I don't know if you necessarily need to rely on CJ Carr in this game to get the win. And I think Carson Beck will be relied on by Miami to win this game for them. So
Agreed.
I'm going to take Marcus Freeman in this one and the Notre Dame Fighting Irish.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry, I hate to cut you off, but
go.
You look back to that Texas A&M game from last season where Notre Dame goes on the road. I mean, Leonard didn't play a particularly great ball game. He threw for 140 yards. I think he ran for like 63. But they relied a lot on the defense. They relied on Jeremiah Love. You mentioned having the best player on the field. It usually wins. Couple that with your coaching take.
Riley Leonard didn't necessarily need to be great every game last year for Notre Dame to win.
Right.
And so I think that's the same case this year with CJ Carr. He's not going to need to be great for Notre Dame to win this football game. And I think that's a big part of why I'm going to pick Notre Dame here.
Keep in mind, CJ Carr has one of, if not the best running back in the country in Jeremiah Love, standing back there in the backfield almost every play. So that definitely helps out as a quarterback coming in, making his first career start. But I think, this is surprisingly difficult to pick because there are things that I like about both of these teams. I think, I think I'm gonna pick Notre Dame. I think I'm gonna pick the Irish in this one. I think it's gonna be very close. It's gonna come down to the wire. Perhaps a last-second field goal or last-second touchdown could seal it for the Fighting Irish, but just barely. I'm gonna say something along the lines of it could be maybe. I think it may be a little bit more high scoring than people might imagine or think. I will say something along the lines of maybe 34-31. Maybe that's crazy. Maybe that's too much offense for week one, but. I think I'm going to take the Irish just barely. They're favored by 2.5 over the. What are you grinning about over there?
Just looking at Carson Beck right now. I got to be so
what
honest.
A shot! What a shot!
That's crazy, man. That's crazy. Yeah, but I'm going to take Notre Dame in this one, favored by 2.5. I think they'll cover that, and they will take this one over Miami. And that reminds me of the question that I was going to ask both of you. This game is I'm going off kind of a tangent, sort of.
That's okay.
This game is a neutral site game. I'm wondering where does the hatred of neutral site games stem from? Because I don't really mind them. I'm wondering where does that kind of dislike stem from?
Because I think fans is what makes college football so special. Like when you're looking at this South Carolina game and they're going to Atlanta, Georgia, could you imagine a South Carolina stadium? Is their Memorial Stadium? No, they're not Memorial Stadium. Are they?
South Carolina?
I'm thinking of Clemson, obviously.
Clemson is a Memorial Stadium, but I don't think South Carolina is.
It probably wouldn't be wrong because there's like a million Memorial Stadiums out there.
It's a good guess, yeah.
But even if this game goes to South Carolina over Virginia Tech fan, Williams-Brice Stadium. That was a brain fart. Virginia Tech would sell this game out. Enter Sandman. Everyone would be jumping. You have a ranked team coming in. And for South Carolina, you just had one of the more successful seasons that you've had in a really long time. You've got Lenora Sellers. People are going to want to show out for that. So you would the reason that college football, in my opinion, is better than the NFL is because of the fans. It's because of the atmospheres. This means something. It's different than like being. I'm a Jets fan, so it's different than.
Sorry.
Yeah, right. It's different than being a Jets fan, and I'm like, I guess I'm attached to the Jets a little bit more than people are attached to their favorite teams because I'm named after them. But like I'm connected. Not to say that I'm an IU fan. Unbiased journalist.
Unbiased journalist.
But I'm connected to IU.
Yeah.
It's in my. I mean, I've gone to school here for 4 years. It's in my blood. Like
It's same for us.
Yeah. So like, I will show out and support this university the same way that people from South Carolina or Virginia Tech would support theirs.
I'm in full agreement. I mean, I've always also held the belief, which is, I think, becoming less and less of a belief that college football is better than the NFL. I always I mean, it helped that I was an Ohio State fan growing up, so my team, I always had something to root for. Sure. I can imagine if you're an Indiana fan before the Signetti era and you're like, college football sucks.
Sure,
I just want to watch anything but college football. But it's a sport built around tradition. I was raised on Script, Ohio. I was raised on OHIO, all of these different things. As soon as you take a college football game and move it out of a college football town, it loses all of the allure that makes college football so great in the first place. I mean, it's a game built around tradition. So, yeah, I mean, they're always just not as much fun. And it's like you can just watch the game and you're like, wow, I mean, this would be a lot better if it was a 90-10 crowd versus a 50-50 or 40-40 and 20% of people that just don't care.
And like, why Atlanta? It's Virginia Tech and South Carolina.
Yeah,
why are we going to Atlanta? This makes no sense. It makes no sense.
All right.
I like the Rose Bowl. I like a Rose Bowl game, but that's just a completely different thing. I mean, a regular season game should always be played.
I agree.
At a school.
All right. Well, that's interesting.
You like them though.
I mean, I don't know if I would like go out of my way to say, oh, I'm super looking forward to the fact that this is in Atlanta, Georgia. But like, I still think, okay, let me put it like this. I still think it's a good environment, even though it's technically not at one of the two schools' stadiums, if that makes sense.
Sorry.
No, you're good.
It's still totally great environment. There's still good environments when they go to but it's like,
it's not the same.
It's in feeling when it's on a college campus and there's lights shining and I can see that C with the Gamecock in the middle of it at midfield, and it's a 3rd and 5 and Kyron Jones is dropping back and you can't even hear yourself think. Like, that's so much different than an NFL stadium.
Okay.
I completely agree. I mean, I'm going to flip this for you, Joe, and ask you a question. Getting a little into an NFL, I guess. You're an Eagles fan, probably more a NFL fan than a college football fan. Would you agree?
Yes, absolutely, for sure.
What do you think about like when the Eagles are playing in? Was it just Brazil? Was that?
I thought that was a good environment. I thought that was a good environment because I think the NFL has done a really good job. I think college football is pretty good at this too. I think the NFL has done a really good job of kind of expanding outside of the U.S. I think that's been a big thing for Roger Goodell, and I think that environment when the Eagles, I know what you're talking about. I watched that entire game. When they were playing in Brazil, I thought it was a really, really good environment. I guess it's maybe different. I guess I see y'all's point, and I agree with y'all's point that it's different than not even taking into consideration, right, the fact that you're watching it on TV, and especially if you get a chance to like go. But anyway, it's different than when you're when you're in Sao Paulo or whatever, wherever that game was played. And I think it's different to that versus when you're at Lincoln Financial Field or something and it's the NFC Championship game and the Commanders are committing 3 turnovers and you can't hear yourself think to borrow Jets' term. But I guess that's kind of I liked that Brazil game for kind of its own reason. I think its own reasons, and I thought the environment was really good. I thought the environment was really good. At the same time, that being said, I'm in agreement with y'all that it's not necessarily the same as when you're at the Link or when you're South Carolina and you're playing at your own stadium, or if, for instance, this weekend, if you're going to be Clemson and you're playing a top 10 LSU team at your own stadium.
I even find myself during NFL season, I don't like the games in London too much.
Yeah, I don't either.
I feel like it's
silly.
I mean, especially when they're starting at like 9:30 a.m. I just can't.
It's like I don't want to wake up for that.
Fortunately, my Lions have not been subjected to being forced over there, at least in the past few years. So hopefully that streak continues. But like, I'm sure Jags fans get annoyed.
Oh my
Jaguars,
goodness!
I mean,
it should be
it's their second home.
Yeah, it should
playing
be
in London. So
Lions should be because they're a good team in the NFL in the sense that the bad teams.
Send the bad teams over
Send the
there.
bad teams
Don't
over
take
to
away the
over
good
to-
Make their
over to
fans
London.
wake up at 9 in the morning
Make
and watch
their
their team
fans
lose by
suffer.
14.
There's just as many Jaguars fans in London now, I'd assume. I saw some Jaguars jerseys. I was there this past summer, and I saw some.
No.
I also saw Terrion Arnold's Toledo jersey.
That's
that was the
crazy,
craziest pull.
bro.
In the middle of
What?
London, I was like, who is rocking a Toledo Terrion Arnold jersey?
Not to mention a Taysom Hill jersey.
Taysom Hill
yeah,
as well.
Yeah, crazy.
That one was shocking.
I also thought the Kansas State Iowa State game in Ireland, that was stupid.
No, it's dumb.
It was dumb.
It
Why
was
is that a conference top 25 matchup? Shit, why is that not on
As
a
like
campus?
your opener.
As
It's
your
the
opener.
college football like season. It's opened and it's just
And
in
it was
Ireland
like
and
it's
no one
not
cares.
like it's not like one of those things where it's like, oh, it's just a bunch of kind of like not mid-major teams or like kind of lower-ish level Power 5 teams. Those are two like good
competing.
teams.
Like that game
Yeah.
in the grand scheme of things, this game
It's an important
is
Big
going to
12
have
game.
high implications
Yeah,
in
yeah,
the Big
yeah.
12. And this game was played in the rain in terrible conditions where, I thought Iowa State was a better team and I picked Iowa State to win that game. But you're walking away from that feeling. That first half we were
Gross.
playing in puddles.
Kansas State fans are like, why'd we?
Exactly.
That's not fair
It
to
was
us.
stupid.
That's
That-
not fair to us at all.
the
You
game's-
couldn't even see the logos on the field.
No,
I
couldn't see
turned
the
it on.
lines.
You
Couldn't
couldn't
see the
see
lines.
anything. It was just a green patch of dirt. It was like, okay.
That game should have been played in Manhattan, Kansas. And, oh, man, it's just silly. I don't
Yeah.
get it. I don't get
Yeah.
I guess we'll keep going. That was awesome.
Big rant.
That was awesome. We'll keep going. I want to kind of go. There are a couple of unranked games tonight that I want to get y'all's thoughts on. Then we'll go to we'll kind of wrap up quickly with conference winner predictions, perhaps. But anyway, we'll get to that in a second. I want to go first. There's some kind of whatever games tonight. Like Western Illinois is playing number
I
12.
love their
Illinois.
logo.
Western Illinois.
Yeah,
Leathernecks.
Yeah, the Leathernecks.
Great
Who
logo. The hidden letters inside the.
is it the-
green.
are they? I don't think it's really out there to say that they have been the worst college football program in the past.
They won a couple
few
games
years.
last year. Didn't they? Won like 3 games last year.
There was
didn't
a
they?
stretch where they were the
Right,
worst, but
right.
I think they did. Win
I
some
think
games,
Indiana
so.
put up like 70-something points on them last
I-
year, or the year before, or something
Kennesaw
like that.
State's got to be up there for one of the worst FBS programs, I think.
Yeah. Kansas and Wagner. Although my brother goes to Kansas now, so I'm kind of an honorary Kansas fan. Anywho,
Shout out.
I want to get y'all's thoughts on Auburn and Baylor. Both of these teams are unranked. Both of them finished off their seasons last year pretty strong. Baylor especially, I think. And some, I think, have even considered Baylor as a sneaky pick to win the Big 12, which is pretty crazy, but I guess I could see it happening. This game is in Waco, Texas, not a neutral site game, thankfully. Just as we were just talking about. I think it was also one of those things when I first saw this on the schedule. I was like, oh, I guess this is going to be a neutral site game. Nope. But Quinn, I'm going to go to you first this time. Maybe the best unranked matchup of the night, Auburn and Baylor. Have any thoughts?
I like Baylor in this one. I think Sawyer Robertson looked pretty good last season. I'm just now looking at his statistics. He had 28 touchdowns compared to just 8 interceptions. 62% completion percentage. Not great, but not bad by any means. I think Baylor, you mentioned at the end of last year, started to pick things up, started to look good. Almost similar to South Carolina, like we talked about earlier, kind of running off that momentum. I can't with Auburn. Like, I just don't.
Yeah.
I feel like Auburn is just perennially
There.
not great. Perennially, maybe just scraping by, getting a bowl game, but like I don't know. I don't see in a conference where the SEC just seems like it's getting better and better and better.
And it's adding more teams.
Adding more teams, getting better. Auburn is just fucking slowly left behind, and that whole like Auburn, Alabama being any sort of rivalry has kind of lost it on me. I don't know. The Iron Bowl's still sometimes close, but
No, I kind of feel that, and I think it's especially taking into consideration that this is in Waco at McLean Stadium, which when it's rocking I think it's a pretty fairly difficult place to play, and it should be now that Baylor has some form of expectations. After they've struggled a little bit ever since 2021, where they almost made the college football playoff. But yeah, I'll take Baylor with you. Jett, any thoughts on this one?
Yeah, I really like Baylor a lot. going into this year. They're in my top 25 heading into this season.
Yeah.
Bryson Washington, redshirt sophomore running back. Remember the name. He's going to be one of the best in college football.
I think one of the most underrated running backs
100%.
in the country.
100%.
Yeah.
And because this team kind of fell under the radar because they made the quarterback switch, they went to Sawyer Robertson midway through the year. I don't think it was midway. I think it was earlier in the year. He had 6 games with 3+ touchdowns. All those came in conference play. I'm pretty stoked. I'm pretty stoked about this Baylor team. Auburn, they've got a pretty good receiving room. But here's what I've said kind of about this game, and when it comes to picking it, I'm taking Baylor because I think the gap between Sawyer Robertson and Jackson Arnold and Bryson Washington and Damari Alston, I think that's a much bigger gap than the gap between these two receiving rooms. Because I think Baylor's got a pretty good receiving room of their own. What I'm saying is I think that the gaps at quarterback and running back
are bigger.
I think that Baylor has much more of an advantage at quarterback and running back than Auburn does at receiver. I'll take Baylor in this one. The defense has to figure it out this year. They gave up in their 5 losses an average of 36.4 points per game. You got to get that in line. If they can correct that, this team is 100% a Big 12 contender.
I think maybe ready to deliver my perhaps hot take of the episode here. My dark horse Heisman Trophy candidate is Sawyer Robertson. That's
Okay.
my dad.
I don't hate it.
That's my take. Maybe perhaps hot, but I don't know. But yeah, I'm gonna take Baylor in this one. The defense needs to tighten up a little bit. I'm with Jett on that. But I, like you, Jett, am pretty excited about this Baylor team. They've got a lot of potential. And yeah, I will take them because they're at home for this one too. So that definitely helps. Georgia Tech and Colorado. So, okay, the question I will pose one question, and then we can kind of get to some, I think, rapid fire conference winner predictions to wrap this episode up. I think, Jett, I'm going to go to you first this time. What do you think about Colorado? I mean, Shadur Sanders no longer on the roster. Travis Hunter no longer on the roster, both those guys in the NFL. And they picked up Julian Lewis, the quarterback, who isn't going to start, which I thought was which I was maybe a little surprised at, but maybe shouldn't have been. What are your thoughts, Jett, on Colorado going into the season? I think they've lost a fair amount of talent, but are they still a threat in an expanded Big 12?
A threat, maybe not, but I do think there's talent on this roster.
Yeah.
I really like. I just had to throw it out here. Amarian Miller, he's a receiver. He got hurt last season. I think he's a very, very good receiver. I think he could be one of the best receivers in this entire conference, and there are a lot of good receivers.
Yep.
We just talked about a few of them at Baylor. So if Caden Salter can get back to his 2023 form when he threw for 32 touchdowns and ran for 12 at Liberty, this team's ceiling completely changes. The issue with Colorado is they just play such a hard schedule this season. They have to go to TCU. They take on Iowa State. They got to go to Utah. They got to go to West Virginia. They close the year out with Arizona State and Kansas State. This schedule is loaded. And for Georgia Tech, I mean, this is a ACC contender. They've got a lot of talent on that roster. Haynes King and Jamal Haynes are going to be able to win games by themselves. Mm-hmm. The defense is fine. They did lose Eric Singleton to Auburn, but they bring in Eric Rivers from FIU. So I think they're going to be fine there. The defense, I'm curious on. They lost 5 of their top 6 leaders in sacks from a season ago. So I'll be curious to see how the defense looks. But offensively, I think Georgia Tech's going to control this game.
Quinn, thoughts?
Yeah, I like Georgia Tech in this one. Yeah, the problem with Colorado being in the Big 12 is that the Big 12 is a conference with so many teams that are slightly above average, right?
Yeah.
That are winning those games. That when you have a team that might be a little bit below that mark, it's not like a conference, maybe even like the Big 10, where you can beat some of those teams your Maryland this year maybe, or some of those the Northwesterns. You can't really necessarily get those wins in the Big 12 because every team, and we saw last year how many teams were could have won the conference in that last 2 weeks of the season. It was 8 teams that were up there for it or something crazy, where it's Colorado is going to have to win a lot of those close games. I just don't know if this team, with the talent they've lost, is going to be able to do that. Versus a team like Georgia Tech, which I think you're led by a veteran quarterback. You have veterans on this roster. You return a lot. I think Georgia Tech is going to be able to win some of those close games in a conference that I think has some of those easier games. I like Georgia Tech in this game against Colorado, and I like Georgia Tech throughout the season to have a better record than Colorado for sure in the ACC versus the Big 12.
I mean, I feel like no one has really given Georgia Tech a lot of love at the national media. I mean, I feel like this team has got to be one of the most underrated and definitely an ACC contender, like you said. I think I'll take Georgia Tech as well. We can get to some, I'll say, rapid fire conference winners real quick. And what better place to start, I think, than the best conference in college football, the SEC. There are so many teams in this conference, I feel like, that are just, well, okay. A, there are so many teams in this conference. And B, there are so many teams in this conference that kind of have a chance, or maybe even just a puncher's chance to win. I don't know if you guys would agree with me on that, but there are a lot of teams that I think can potentially make some noise. Start with the SEC. Jett, I'm going to go to you first. Who wins the SEC in 2025?
I kind of keep going back and forth. First of all, I think LSU has a really good chance to. Again, I don't trust Brian Kelly. I just don't.
Yeah. I get you on that.
I'm back and forth here between Texas and Georgia, and I'll tell you why. Texas could lose tomorrow on Saturday and be just fine. As far as the SEC goes, winning the SEC, they'll be just fine. It's not a conference game. They play 2 other games later this season. They play at Florida and they play at Georgia. I think they're absolutely going to lose at Georgia. I think they can go in and take care of business against Florida, depending on what their situation's looking like. By that point, I think that's like week 6. Oh goodness, I almost said 6, 7. Oh
goodness, that's rough.
That's rough.
So I'm gonna take Texas. I know it's lame. I know it's boring, but I really like Arch Manning. I think he's going to emerge as one of the best quarterbacks, if not the best quarterback in college football this season. I like the receiving room. I can't talk enough about how loaded this defense is. I'll take Texas.
Quinn?
Yeah, we'll get some parity here because I'm going to take Georgia. I think Georgia got a really lucky draw. I'm looking at the schedule right now. Georgia's away games this season at Tennessee, at Auburn, at Mississippi State.
Seriously?
Yeah.
Those are 3 wins, man. I mean, those are 3 wins.
And so you get to play home against Florida. You get to be, that's a neutral site game at Florida. Neutral site at the end of the season against Georgia Tech. But you're home against Texas. That's the big one because that's the tiebreaker, right? You're home against Alabama, another big one right there. I don't know. I just don't see a way that Georgia, with beating Texas, which I think you mentioned that you think Georgia's going to beat Texas, take care of business there. I don't see Georgia losing because they would have to lose 2 different games. I don't see that happening. I don't see that happening in the SEC. I trust Kirby Smart. I trust this Georgia team. I think Georgia's gonna be the one that comes out of the SEC.
I will say when I'm picking these champions, I'm thinking in my head like Texas, Georgia in the SEC championship game.
And
taking Texas.
Okay.
I'll take Texas. Although, I mean, everyone's got their kryptonite, and it kind of feels like Sarkisian's. I mean, at that point,
might be Kirby Smart.
Exactly. At that point, if I'm predicting Texas to go in and lose against Georgia, then that'd be 3 straight games that Sark. It might even go back further than that, but I don't know.
Yeah, even if it's championships, I'm still taking Georgia.
Okay.
I'm still taking Georgia in a neutral site against Texas after beating them once this season.
Yeah.
Same thing that happened last year.
Yeah. I'm with Quinn. I'm taking Georgia. I need to kind of see Arch Manning for a full season before I'm like fully bought all the way in on Texas. Not to say that I think they're going to suck because I think they're going to be great. They're going to be neck and neck, I think, with Georgia for that SEC crown throughout the season. I thought about picking Alabama, but then I was like, nah. Although I really do like Kalen DeBoer, partially because he used to be the offensive coordinator at IU, but that's besides the point. I think Alabama's going to finish 3rd. I think Georgia and Texas are kind of going to be the ones in line for that SEC title throughout the season, but I think Georgia, I just trust him a little bit more. I trust Kirby Smart, like you both have said, and I don't know. I trust them a little bit more. I think maybe some sleepers, kind of Alabama, maybe Florida, maybe Texas A&M is a sleeper potentially. But I'm going to take Georgia as well. Let's move. Let's see where we want to go next. Let's go to the Big Ten next because why not? Quinn, you first this time. Who wins the Big Ten in 2025?
This is tough for me because I don't know if I can buy into Penn State. That's my biggest thing right now. Is I don't know if I can actually, because we haven't. What have we seen from Penn State to be like, all right, that team can beat the best teams in the Big Ten?
Okay, to be fair, they're playing Notre Dame, almost won that game. But again, the stereotypes of James Franklin were reinforced. Can't win the big one.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to put that loss on James. I mean, James Franklin coached that was a pretty good coach, pretty well coached game from James Franklin.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. I don't want to sound like too much of a homer, but I do think Ohio State's got a really good chance to come out of the Big Ten this year. I mean, I don't know. It's a tough one. I'm gonna go with Ohio State just because of Ryan Day. I trust Ryan Day more than I trust James Franklin. Ohio State's had Penn State's number not this season, but the past decade. Other than that one game in 2016, the block kick,
crazy ball numbers.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with Ohio State in this one. I trust it's gonna come down a lot to Julian Sayin. We'll see how he progresses throughout the season. I think if Ohio State loses that Texas game, that can be a good learning experience for Julian Sayin. I'm gonna go with Ohio State down the line, but this is a conference where I could see Oregon, I could see Penn State, I could see Ohio State. I mean, realistically, I could see Indiana. That wouldn't be crazy. Indiana's got a tough road with playing at Oregon, playing at Iowa, at Penn State, but I still think
their schedule is not exactly doing them any favors this year.
I still think that's a team that if they get hot and if Fernando Mendoza comes out and he balls out, this is an Indiana team that can win those big games. So I think there's 4, maybe 5 teams in the Big Ten that can actually make a run at the top of the conference, but I'll go with Ohio State.
Yeah.
I'm going to go Penn State.
Okay.
I've been all in on this team all season long, all off season. They return everyone. They return both 1,000-yard. I'm not like Tyler Warren and Abdul Carter are both. I mean, they're big losses, but it's Penn State. Do you think they're going to have a problem finding an edge? No, I don't think they're going to have a. I mean, the tight end situation is fine though because they bring in 3 really good receivers in the transfer portal. I felt like they took care of their problems in the offseason. Drew Aller doesn't have to be the best quarterback in college football. Didn't even have to be the best quarterback in the conference. I don't think he is anyways. I like Mendoza better personally. But yeah, I think Penn State's going to win it. They will lose on the road to Ohio State more than likely. But a one-loss team, they'll go to Big Ten. I mean, they'll probably match up with Ohio State in the Big Ten championship game, and then it's then the storylines and the stereotypes of man, can James Franklin beat this team? And I don't know, but I'll take Penn State.
Yeah, I'm with Jett. Give me Penn State. Give me Penn State's. I think that if there's going to be any year that Penn State is finally been waiting for it for years, finally break through and win the big one, win the conference, I mean, even potentially maybe make it all the way to the national championship, it's going to be this one. It's got to be this year. I mean, Drew Aller's more than likely gone to the NFL after this season, and this is probably, I mean, the losses, right? Tyler Warren, Abdul Carter, will they hurt? Yeah. Those are 2 phenomenal players, and they were picked where they were picked in the NFL draft for good reason. But, I mean, it's kind of like, Quinn, it's kind of like you were saying. There are a lot of teams that can kind of make a run at this conference. I mean, Ohio State, Oregon, maybe and Indiana, maybe even Michigan. I mean,
none of those things are that crazy to say, I don't think.
There are several teams, I'm with you, there are several teams that can make a run at the Big Ten title, but I think I'm the most sure about Penn State, so I'm going to take Penn State as well. We got time for a couple more. Let's do the ACC next. Why did I choose the ACC? Is because I'm saving the Big 12 for last. Let's do the ACC. Maybe not the most extremely competitive conference, but I think there are a handful of teams in here that deserve some consideration for the title. Jett, you first. Who wins the ACC this season?
I've been kind of boring because I picked Texas and Penn State, but I'm picking Clemson, and I'm not even thinking twice about it. 100% certain Clemson's winning. I will say the race for second place, as we've been calling it over at the HN College Football Show, the race for second place in this conference is going to be so much fun. Do you want to know who I think is going to win the race for second place?
Yes.
Yes, I do.
I think Pittsburgh is going to be in the ACC championship game this season.
Okay.
I think Clemson will beat them in the ACC championship, but I think Pittsburgh is going to get there. So the thing about Pittsburgh, I know I hate to spend too much time talking about them because I don't think they're going to win the conference, but I think they're really, really good. I like Eli Holstein. I think Desmond Reed is the best running back in this conference all around. Isaac Brown is better as a better runner, but Desmond Reed has the ability to go catch passes as well. This receiving room, they bring everyone back. Kenny Johnson, Sincere Lee, Poppy Williams. The defense should be really, really good. Kyle Lewis, Rasheem Biles, Braylon Lovelace. I'm really high on this Pittsburgh team. I think I have them as my 16th best team in college football. I do. So I'll take Clemson to win the conference, but the race for second place is going to be so much more interesting.
Yeah. Quinn, who wins the ACC this year?
Clemson.
There's just nothing else?
There's too much proven talent there. You have the best quarterback in the conference, probably the best player in the conference in Cade Klubnik. It's Clemson. The race for second is going to be fun to watch. I won't make a prediction on that, but we'll have to see. I mean, there's a ton of teams that can be up there and make that push. Georgia Tech could make that push. SMU, Pitt, Bill Belichick in North Carolina. No.
Easy schedule.
Yeah,
easy schedule.
Easy schedule. You never know with Bill Belichick, but it's going to be a fun. Even Louisville's up there. It's going to be a fun conference to watch for sure. And there's always some good games. And I mean, ignore the past maybe 3-4 years. Back when Clemson was perennially, in the college football playoffs in those early years, 2015, 2016, against the Alabama teams, they always got some good tests from the ACC. There's always going to be some interesting games. So keep your eyes out, because I think Clemson, although I have them winning the conference, they might face some challenges along the way from some of these other teams. If they're off 1 week, these are some teams that are talented enough to, I think, maybe potentially stir an upset. So watch out, but the ACC should be fun this year.
Yeah, looking forward to definitely watching the ACC. I'm going to be boring again. I'm going to go with Clemson because, I feel like it's almost one of those things where it's like there's Clemson and then there's everybody else. But that doesn't mean that everybody else is like bad or not entertaining or whatever. I think it's not really much of a debate to say that Clemson is going to win the conference because there is just so much talent on this team. And they are ranked number 4 in the country to start the year for very good reason, as we have been over. But there are several teams, like we have said, Georgia Tech, Miami, North Carolina, kidding, but also maybe not really. SMU, Virginia Tech, not really. But no, there are several teams that can kind of potentially make a push, the race for second, as you both have said. I'm kind of kidding, but I'm also like, it's going to be fun to watch regardless. Yeah. But Clemson should win the ACC, and I'm going to save the one that I can't decide on for last, the Big 12, because this conference is... Oh my gosh. I'm going to let you guys take this one first. Quinn, you go first. Who's going to win the Big 12 this year? Because I can't decide.
I'm buying into you guys hyping up Baylor.
I love it.
Whoa!
I am.
Wow.
I'm buying into it. Sawyer Robertson, Bryson Washington, elite duo in the backfield. Plus, you have a defensive-minded head coach in Dave Aranda. I like Baylor, man, and it's a conference where anything can happen. I think if you're in that top 6, top 7 of this... I hate it. If you're in the top 6 or 7 of this conference, something's going to happen. You have a chance to win this conference. Baylor's definitely in that top 7. Give me Baylor, man. When you have that talent in the backfield, you have those playmakers in your offense, you have a good head coach who can coach the heck out of a defense, you're going to have a chance of winning some close football games, and you're going to have a chance to win the conference. I like Baylor.
And not to mention a very, very good offensive coordinator in Jake Spavital.
Yeah.
Jett, who's going to win the Big 12?
I've got Baylor as my runner-up. To win the conference, give me Utah. Look at that schedule.
Okay.
Look at this schedule.
Okay.
But beyond me thinking that there's a lot of talent on Utah's roster, I like what they did bringing, because Oklahoma did it as well. They brought Ben Arbuckle over with John Mateer from Washington State, his offensive coordinator, so the system's not going to change. Utah did the same thing with Jason Beck and Devin Dampier. The system's not going to change. It's just being enhanced a little bit with more talent around him. Looking at this schedule, your road games, similar to how you were talking about, George, your road games are at West Virginia, who I think is an underrated team. I think that's going to be a tough game. At BYU, they lost their starting quarterback in Jake Retzloff, so who knows where they'll be at that point. At Baylor, sure. At Kansas.
That could be a tough one.
Yeah, at Kansas. So
yeah,
I'm looking at this team, and I'm thinking this is an 11-1 team, maybe 10-2, but this is probably an 11-1 team. And I think they'll take on Baylor in the Big 12 championship, which would be an aesthetically pleasing game. It would be a very fun game to watch. I'm taking Utah to win the conference.
That's an interesting pick for sure.
I love it.
I like it too. I mean,
shout out Ryan. Ryan Canfield sold me on it.
Really?
And, Well, because we were doing the Big 12 preview, and he was just kind of going down the schedule, and I was like, huh. And so, yeah, my pick's Utah.
All right, well, I guess it's my turn. Oh man, there are so many teams in this conference that I could pick. I mean, let's just go down the list here. You could pick Iowa State. You could pick TCU. You could pick Texas Tech. You could pick Kansas State. I mean, we just saw 2 of those 4 teams. You could pick Arizona State, I think. You could even pick Kansas. If you could pick Baylor, like we've been over, but oh man. You know what? Partially because I can't think of anything better that I'm more sure about. I'm going to go with Quinn. Give me the Baylor Bears to win the Big 12.
Yes, he joined me.
Give me the Baylor Bears to win the Big 12. They're probably the team. I think the defense could maybe use a little bit of tightening up the screws a bit. But that offense, man, when that offense is going, I think they may be the best in the conference, man. I think they compete with a lot of teams in the country. I mean, Sawyer Robertson, I think the most underrated quarterback in college football, period. My dark horse Heisman candidates. Give me Baylor, and I think they will face off against, I'm going to go with, Jett said Utah. I think perhaps maybe a team like Kansas State. You could. It's almost like out of the maybe 6. No, I'm gonna say it. I'm gonna say it.
Don't do it.
I'm not gonna say it. Out of the 6-ish teams that I kind of rattled off at the beginning, you could almost. It's almost like you're maybe like pulling one out of a hat. You could say Utah. You could say Iowa State. You could say Kansas State. You could say TCU. I mean, you could say Texas Tech.
Yeah.
This conference is just like anything. It's like I think both of y'all said anything can happen in this conference. And that's kind of why I wanted to save it for last, because it's, in my opinion, it's so insane.
Could you imagine the scenes if Utah makes the Big 12 championship and it's the 4th quarter and it's a tie game and Cam Rising comes back in for his 8th year of eligibility? He's on crutches probably.
I thought it was 9th.
Yeah, it's something like that.
Yeah, no.
Track.
No, but that's going to be our college football preview, and it's right at 6:30. So that's going to be our show. It's going to be our show, ladies and gentlemen. Before we go, the first thing I want to say, a huge thank you to Jett for joining us on the show.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, this was, I think, maybe the longest episode we've ever done.
Yeah, probably.
Which is
we've had some 2-parters, but never an hour and a half episodes. So.
Which is awesome and crazy. All of the adjectives.
Flew by.
Yeah,
it didn't feel like an hour and a half.
Yeah. But it was fantastic. Jett, thank you so much again for coming on. That is going to be our college football preview. That will be it for this episode. It will be up on Spotify and YouTube.
The likes.
Yeah. And the likes of that, like you said, will be episode number 1 for our senior year, which is insane. Every time I say that out loud, it's insane. But that is going to be episode number 1 for all of our watchers and listeners. Thank you for tuning in. This will be up on Spotify and YouTube soon, so stay tuned. But for now, later.